Yo everyone, what is up and welcome to the third part of this My Team career, focusing on my team. Last race was the Bahrain Grand Prix, first round of the season. It was an okay race, had an interesting battle with Tsunoda at the end, but as you can see we're now doing all of the stuff before the pre-season break, and we even have a department event. So, pace or awareness, we want to go with pace.
Thank you.
We want Dan to be as fast as possible, although pretty much by the time we actually get round to the Spanish Grand Prix he would have lost those attributes. But as you can see, just running through some of the activities that I've already pre-selected.
They'll be on the car ready for the next race.
There we go to the season break. Okay, one more activity, just a chassis department focus. Might as well put that on, gets us a few extra resource points. And here we go. Spark plugs, will that go on? That will go on, so that's gone in time for the Spanish Grand Prix, which is nice. Some more running weekly costs.
Okay, we've had the new parts come through the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
And into Spain we go. So as you can see, actually expecting some rain during the race, which is interesting. Second race of the season and we've already got a chance of rain. Does look like it's going to go dry though towards the end of the race, so maybe roughly about halfway through. We'll have to see. But just looking at a few of the other bits and bobs. As you can see, Alfa Romeo have made quite a big leap to us actually. Williams have overtaken Haas. Mercedes jumped, McLaren have jumped Aston Martin, and Mercedes have pulled out a bit more of a gap. But going into practice one now, as you can see, race development, track acclimatization, which is what you're seeing now, and also I believe that was tyre management. So in down into the first corner, pretty decent setup we've gone in. I can't remember what I'm running. Another time trial setup from one of the pro esports drivers.
DRS zone is coming up. Get ready to open it. Distance is on your MFD.
A little bit shaky through that corner, but it just takes a bit of practice. As you can see, doing relatively well. Purple through, not the best run through the final chicane, but decent enough run out of the final corner. Did DRS in all zones, apart from the speed trap. Did do the speed trap just down there, just popped some DRS down, and yeah, completed 5 out of 5 for the track acclimatization. Relatively easy actually. I'm not too fussed about the S's, I've done everything else anyway, and I'm not looking to perfect it because you don't need to perfect every corner. Going on to the race strategy now, just to kind of see what our relative race pace is like. Went out on the mediums. And by the end of it, passed all of them. Even this last lap, I'm 1.3 seconds up. So I've done pretty good. I think that was my fastest lap of the whole program. So quite happy with that. Race pace seems quite good. And then finally, just the tyre management. Now, the keep tyres below a certain temperature actually bugged out on this, so I wasn't 100% sure what temperature I was actually aiming for. It did turn out it was about 119 degrees, so I didn't actually have the program up. The temperature's up, as you can see, second down.
And that was a very good job indeed. We got a lot of valuable information out of that.
3 out of 3 for perfect programs, very nice. So at this point I didn't actually realise I'm 4 out of 5. Went out and did a quali lap. As you know, it wasn't one of the programs, just wanted to see kind of what pace we had. Coming through final corner now. Accelerating up towards the line, easily flat, although very bumpy curbs here in Spain, and it's a 1:17.7. So, seems like pretty decent pace. Actually, as I'm skipping towards the end of the program, I realised I hadn't done the final development boost, so we're just going to go out quickly on a set of hards, just to finish off, because that will have a lower tyre temperature. overall because it's harder compound. Tyres don't tend to get quite as hot as compared to the softs or the mediums. As you see, coming through the last corner, it's actually 118 degrees. Just about past it, and we did also complete the development boost. So, very nice.
We got some excellent data with that run, so come on back to the garage and I can talk you through the numbers.
Very happy with that. So we passed all practice programs, skipping now towards the end of the session. Yeah, another train goes past my house, so whilst I'm recording this, unfortunately I can't control those. So you'll just hear some rumbling in the background every now and then. So skip now, actually straight to qualifying, skip to Q3, skip straight to qualifying. Here we go. So, yeah, no idea how the paces really is around here. Just got to kind of see how everything goes. Skip forward a little bit just to get a little bit of track evolution. And here we are, coming towards the end of the first lap. Relatively decent lap. I think I did, yeah, I was pretty happy with it. Up towards the line now, open the DRS and there's a 1:17.6, so a little bit quite faster than what we did in FP1. Just trying to find out where we are at the moment.
P20.
Okay, so not that good of a lap. P20, not exactly ideal.
30 seconds left in the session.
Right at the end of the session now, starting our second flying lap. Just kind of wanted to save the tyres, wait until the track evolution was really good. Up by 1.2 tenths, so not too bad. Qualifying is now completely finished. Through just the final set of corners now, up by a little bit more, crossing the line, and it was 1:17 flat, so we found 6 tenths in that lap there. Where does it put us? Where does it put us? Game doesn't tell us anymore. And now actually the funny thing is, in a second, as we'll see, it's P19. I actually thought I'd made it through to Q2 with that lap. I thought Dan Ticktum's time was actually my time. So advancing now into what I thought was Q2. And actually, as it turns out,
let's have your take on it.
I got really confused as to why Claire was interviewing me. We seem to be around Kimi Räikkönen, so we're going to go with Kimi.
Your qualifying pace didn't put you at the front of the grid. Will this be a problem tomorrow?
None of those answers are really good, so we're just going to go with that.
Appreciate your time.
Just got to make the best of what we got. So, rivalry, nice boost of acclaim. Actually, level 2 now for the driver, so that's pretty decent. And we're heading into the race. Just checking a few upgrades because skipping to qualifying actually means I can't apply the upgrades at the end of FP3. Sorry, when I do actually get them. So I think we're going to go with potentially an energy storage, just because that's pretty good. We've also got a pretty decent bonus on the ignition system, so that's going to go on hopefully in time for Azerbaijan, I think that was. So and then just weighing up the two options here, I've got enough to do both the turbo and the engine. I'm actually going to go with the turbo because it's got a slightly bigger development boost, and completely forgot that I can only have one because the fabrication is currently rubbish. Enough resource points to put on another one, so we're going to put on, looks like, the energy store cell position, and then that will go in time for Azerbaijan, I think, as well. So yeah, into the race we go.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. It's 730 metres from pole position down to a slippery turn 1 here, the first of 16 corners around this 2.89 mile racetrack. The long, wide turn 3 and the uphill right-hander of turn 9 can both be taken full throttle in the right conditions, but I doubt very much we'll be seeing any of that today. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Whereas a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Leclerc, Vettel, Sainz and Lance Stroll, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda and Ocon, Raikkonen, Ticktum, Antonio Giovinazzi and Mick Schumacher, James, Russell, Latifi and Nikita Mazepin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So there we go, starting P19, wet start to the race, and then as you confirmed earlier, going to dry up roughly about halfway through, but that could actually be 15 to 20 minutes. Dropping the fuel as we don't want to run too much fuel, especially during the rain. We're not going to be using the accelerator as much, not going to be running so much fuel. The only other thing I like to do is just up the wing angle and drop the diff when it's raining, just to allow for a little bit more slippage and a little bit better control of the car and better downforce because it is raining. So yeah, I think we're all ready to go for this race. No idea what my wet pace is like. We'll just have to see as the race goes on. Five lights. And away we go, finally. That was a long hold. Interesting start. Very good start by George Russell, not a surprise at all. Trying to have Latifi up our outside now. I think we've just got about enough straight on us, braking nice and early. We do not want to run into the back of all these people. I think that's Mick Schumacher to my right. Managed to out-qualify us, so he did a really good job in what is effectively the slowest car. A little bit wide during there, but we get away with it. And I think we're in that position of haven't lost any positions, although Mick's still up our inside. I think that's turn 4, braking turn 5, everybody's going slow, and managed to jump 2 people, Giovinazzi and George. Just tucked behind Dan now, so not too bad. Managed to catch that up. As you can see, the end of lap 3 now.
Rain is imminent. Rain is imminent. Be careful out there. Looks like the weather is going to dry up in about 5 minutes. Inters seem like the fastest tyre for now.
So it looks like the rain's going to stop soon. Just kind of keeping pace with Dan at the moment. Pretty happy with that.
Is dropping back by about 0.3 a lap.
And we're faster than what the Williams and the Hasses are, so that's always good news as well. Cutting towards the end of lap 5 now. Just coming through this tricky corner, and big moment for Dan there through that corner. So he's definitely weak during that. He was a little bit shaky through the 2 S's before, so I think we have an opportunity, and we've got a little bit more stability in the car than probably what Dan's running, so that's always good. I'll try and make full advantage of that. Quite close to it now, it's coming towards the end of lap 5. It's just a case of, and another moment as well, so he's definitely a bit shaky on the power. Capped at 10 now, tried a few opportunities here and there, didn't really get much of a chance, just trying to keep close to him. Big moment coming out of that corner, so we're going to use all of our ARS, just try and see if we can get past him. Big lunge down into the hairpin, and job done. Not bad. So lap 12 now. Jeff actually wanting to extend our first stop. Tyre wear doesn't seem too bad to him, so we're going to extend by a couple laps. It's just going to cover us in case the rain takes a long time to actually clear away and the track to dry up.
The tyre situation is an interesting one, but I think the right call is to stick with what we've got right now.
So even though it's pretty much stopped raining, big moment for Kimi there. Even though it stopped raining, it's actually still pretty wet. The track's not drying out really quickly. And another big moment. Oh, we're going to use to capitalise this. Yep, I think we're going to do the move we did on Dan. Down the inside. Can we get it stopped? Yep, just about. Kimi switched back though, but looks like we've got the traction, and he's backed out of it going into these slow corners. So yeah, another move, a little bit of a lunge, but I think we were entitled to do that. We were quite far, quite alongside of him, so I think we're worth to do that, and especially into that corner now, so we can kind of utilise the pace a little bit.
We're in P14. Ocon is ahead of you. Gap to car in front is 8.5 seconds. They're on old inters. Raikkonen behind. The gap to the car behind is 1.2 seconds. They're on old inters. Your pit window opens in 8 laps time.
So managed to gap Kimi, which is good.
Check your MFD for a new strategy
Looks
option.
like the rain is starting to dry up now. Track is definitely starting to get quicker. And we're actually going to be pitting on the next lap for some reason as DRS gets enabled. I'm going to go soft, medium. So 3 stopper to finish off the race. Probably trying to utilise the fact that we didn't get any more runs. But as we see, end of lap 16, Dan's come in for his stop. So why in my team
Give us the best in lap you can.
am I being overlooked and Dan has gotten priority here?
A new strategy is available on the MFD.
But every cloud has a silver lining. We're actually going to change to the medium soft. So we're going to be slower for this first stint, have a longer first stint.
If I were you, I'd come in and change tyres. I'm just not sure we're on the right ones for the conditions anymore.
And that made me, I was pretty annoyed by that point. Jeff keeping me out an extra lap and then telling me, oh yeah, we're on the wrong tyres. So now we're coming in, end of lap 17, going to go on to the mediums, go for a nice long stint and have a nice sprint, fast run to the finish over 2 laps. Looks like one of the Alpines was in, probably Ocon. Looks like he got hung out to dry a little bit. And then in for a first stop.
Release.
2-second stop. Not
Okay,
bad
2
from the
stops left
boys.
now. 2 stops.
Something about that pit stop as well is very like that pit lane. Very slow to be able to come off the limiter when you're in that one. On the first corner, I think we've got Mick around our outside, but he's on soft and probably slightly warmer rubber. So we're just going to have to let him go, try and hold on to him. All these guys are on, oh no, we're going to try and go for an attack. But he's defended quite well. A little bit of shake through the corner. Track's still a little bit greasy, so there's a little bit of caution putting the foot down. But I think that's probably what, P18 now? So not exactly great. A few laps later, as you can see, we're got the DRS, just starting to keeping pretty good pace with it. At some point as well, Dan's managed to actually overtake Raikkonen. I believe Raikkonen's actually on the same strategy as us. He's on the mediums as well. But yeah, the next few laps just kind of keeping pace.
Second lap on the car behind.
Seem to be dropping Giovinazzi quite well. We've actually gone purple in the first sector here, which is like crazy. There's no way the third from worst team should be going for purple. Little look down the inside of Mick, but nothing coming of it. Yeah, just been keeping pace with these guys, although I think their softs are now starting to fall off a little bit, just with the nature of the track. Little bit of a sideways moment through the S's there for Mick. And we're going to get a look, going to get DRS. For the DRS. Can we have a look? I think we're going to go for a lunge. Ooh, that's a very far back lunge. But we've made the move stick. So that's, what, 17 now. So, not too bad. A couple laps later, here we are on, I believe it's George Russell. Had a nice run through the long turn 3. Gone a little bit wide, but we've done the old switchback. Can we get George into this corner? Nope, doesn't look like it. Slightly better rubber for him though, even though it's starting to fade. Going alongside into the S's, and yeah, decide better out of it. Try and utilise the DRS, try and get him down this next straight. Here we go. DRS, late on the brakes. down into what is now P16.
There's been an incident on track, but officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
So I think George might have ever so slightly tapped me, which is what I think that incident that he was talking about in quotation marks was. But as you can see, coming down lap 30, Dan is now pitted.
Daniel is in the pits. Daniel in the pits.
So that's another free space by the looks of it. George and Mick have done so too. So it's now just us versus Kimi Räikkönen.
Raikkonen
Our
ahead.
rival.
The gap to the car ahead is 1.7 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 14 laps old. We think they've got 2 stops remaining. The time last lap was a 1:20.7. You're losing
Just-
around 3/10 a lap.
Trying to gauge what kind of strategy Kimi's on as well. Looks like everybody's pretty much on a 3-stopper in terms of mediums to soft. All of a sudden, oh hello, we are up the inside of Kimi, and that is P14.
Good job. Nice overtake.
Kimi did just touch us. Don't know whether we actually saw that or not because of now there's green flags. Keep an eye on the bottom right hand corner. Kimi was actually up our inside. Didn't realise the way the track goes. Squidged him a bit too tight. Just bounced off my back rear tyre, and I think he might have actually bounced off the wall as well. But here we are, lap 36. We've got a Mercedes clogging up the rear view mirror. I believe that's Hamilton. He's been on a bit of a charge, but he's also on the alternate strategy of probably soft mediums. So just going to let him go. Obviously we have to have blue flags as well. Get the DRS. Did actually miss that Verstappen retired. He had engine issues partway through the beginning of the race, as you can see there, mechanical failure. Keeping relatively decent pace by the looks of it, relatively consistent.
We're in P14. Ocon is ahead of you. Okay, gap ahead is 20.6 seconds. They're on old mediums. Okay, the gap behind is 17.4 seconds. Your pit window opens next lap. 28 laps to go.
So we're just kind of a bit in a no man's land at the moment. 20 seconds behind 13th, but 17 seconds behind 15th, in front of 15th. So coming in for our second stop, I had actually gotten caught by, I think that was Perez and Bottas that had just gone past actually, but they caught me right towards the end of the laps. It's like, well, I'm not going to lose any time because I'm coming into the pits anyway. Bit of a steady stop from the guys, and again, late release of the pits. Boost the VRS, see if we can try and not lose too many positions. Looks like we've lost one to Dan. Oh no, Dan's coming around our outside. Looks like we've lost one to George actually. George's done quite well in the stint since he's pitted, but these guys are going to be on quite old tyres now, so managed to hold off Dan and try and utilise the fresh rubber as quickly as possible because it's not going to be that much longer until these guys come into their mediums. As you can see later in the lap, down into the DRS, down into the braking zone of the hairpin, and round the outside. Not a particularly, well, actually a pretty good move. Utilised a better rubber, better traction, shoot past him out of the corner, and that is up into what is probably P14.
We're increasing our gap on the car behind by around a second a lap.
So yeah, much faster than what the others. I think they're all trying to eke out their tyres a little bit, just try and utilise as little time on the mediums as possible.
14th position. You're in
P14.
14th position. Norris is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 35.6 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Russell behind. Our gap behind is 1.9 seconds. They're on old softs. Pit window will open in 10 laps time. Pit window opens in 10 laps. 24 laps to go.
Unfortunately,
12.3 seconds.
I don't know what that 12.3 was about. Unfortunately, with the contact with Kimi's kind of put us, in a bit of no man's land. We're not fast enough to be anything better than 14th, but we're not kind of slow enough to be anything less than P14. We're faster than the Alphas, it seems to be. We're faster than the Williams, faster than the Hasses too, so just kind of utilising the end of this stop, just trying to get some relatively consistent laps going. The others have pitted by now, so I am just in complete no man's land and just driving around.
Giovinazzi behind. The gap to the car behind is 27.6 seconds. They're on old softs. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1 minute 20.0. Okay, gap ahead is 16.2 seconds. We're leading our teammate by 29.5 seconds.
So that's all the gaps. We're a pit stop in front of Giovinazzi. Tictum doesn't sound like he's far behind Giovinazzi either. But we're, what, 13, 14 seconds behind as we let, I believe that's Danny Rick, lap us. Onto lap 53 now, pitting for our second set of soft tyres. Fresh set that will take us to the end of the race. And yeah, it's kind of been a relatively boring stint after I got past everybody. I've kind of dropped them and then they've pitted and then, yeah, just running much faster than all of them. Definitely could have utilised a little bit less fuel, maybe been a little bit quicker to begin with, but
we want to finish the race on this compound.
Is what it is. Can't really control that too much with how everything is. Definitely trying to get an eye for fuel wear and everything, and especially like race strategy doesn't show you any of the details, so you've got no idea. His Sergio Perez comes up to lap us, and it was actually a very interesting, probably about the next 10 minutes worth of racing, which will be condensed down into the next 90 seconds or so. Was actually able to keep pace with Perez for a little bit. A little bit shaky through there, but we closed up with the thanks to DRS. Although it didn't have DRS on the next lap.
The car ahead is 41.6 seconds.
But I'm like pit stop and a half, behind the next guy. But here we go, end of lap 56. We've actually managed to get the DRS back again, and now we're just kind of using Perez to pull us along. We're not fast enough to really break away from him, but we definitely seem to be fast enough to kind of keep pace with him. And this was, I mean, I know I'm on softer rubber, but it was quite surprising to actually see that I'm able to keep pace with Perez at this stage of the race. Whether he's got a lot more fuel than I do, or I don't know what is, but so I think we set what's probably our fastest lap of the race now. This point, starting to lose a little bit of tyre life, a little bit of tyre speed, but we've still got enough straight line speed to utilise DRS, and catch up to Perez a little bit.
Some information on Tictum. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
And for the second race in a row, Dan has an engine issue of some sort with his car. And George Russell is out of the race. Simple mechanical failure. Might cut to in a second going past where he actually retired. I believe it was going into... Here you go.
There's a yellow flag ahead.
There he is, George's stricken car. Looks like his engine's given up some component, which is unfortunate.
5 laps of fuel remaining.
Here we go, end of lap 62. Bottas has gone past, and actually at this point, I'm not fast enough to catch the people behind. I'm not slow enough to lose time to the people behind. So I actually decided I'm going to back off, save the engine, try and keep off the curbs to reduce wear on like the control electronics. That's the second time I've actually been lapped as well. So this is actually the final lap of the race. Kind of came up pretty quickly towards the end. Nothing really happened after I got lapped. And Lewis Hamilton wins the Spanish Grand Prix, and we're going to come home to a very lonely but very solid P14.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
They've done it then. A spectacular victory here in Spain and a massive confidence boost going into the next race. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
I mean, I really wasn't paying attention. I only realised during editing that Leclerc had actually finished third in this race. I thought Ricciardo, when he overtook me, was actually running in third. but as it turns out, as you'll see in a second, Ricciardo finished 5th. Sebastian Vettel finished 4th. So there we go. Good race for Aston Martin.
Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Let's give it to Esteban Ocon. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
Even though I lapped faster than Ocon and gained the same amount of positions because I got lapped twice.
Meanwhile, Alpine move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. I'm
So
equal
there we go.
parts exhausted
Interesting.
and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
After the contact with Kimi, it didn't become that much of an interesting race, especially after the first stint of softs. Wasn't that, interesting, I guess.
Let's have your thoughts.
Relatively simple, just driving around the track and getting the race done. The car was pretty sticky. Good power advantage as well, but it was quite light as well, so that's always good. Got to find one that helps boost the team a little bit. Always affect your claim. This one doesn't really do it. I feel like the dampen's a bit cheesy, so that last one's pretty good.
What do you think went wrong?
Decided not to comment actually on this one because I've got a feeling any of these will affect the acclaim negatively, so I'm not going to comment on this one because I don't want to affect my team negatively. But Claire seems pretty happy with my answers.
Marketing department needs some assistance to reach a resolution here.
So, do we spend money and get more resource points, or not spend as money but get a small amount of resource points? We're actually going to make, I think, a large investment just to get that bonus resource points in. We've got a relatively decent cash flow.
You handled it well.
So the extra bonus resource points is very, very nice. Gonna get the quality control of the aero up. And yeah, we've actually got a press interview, surprisingly. After 2 races, just before the Monaco Grand Prix, we're gonna get a press interview.
Well, it's great to be back at your headquarters, and I've got to say, an awful lot's changed since we were last here.
In the
Let's
2
dive into
races.
some questions. Upgrades to your facilities seem to have stalled. Is there no more room for improvement, or are you prioritising other areas?
So we've not got a great cash flow going on at the moment, so it's just about trying to find a suitable answer to this. We're investing in other areas, I guess, as well, but we're upgrading as and when we can.
To be getting much more comfortable with their car. Have you been focusing on their development?
Not really. I guess the pace one was an improvement, so yeah, I guess they've been putting in the hours.
Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team?
Definitely, but as there's no way of doing team orders.
Your team's been picking up points fairly consistently. Do you think you'll be able to become a challenge to the top teams in the future?
Don't quite know what Will's going on about, bearing in mind the fact that we haven't scored a point yet, but yeah, we're just going to try and get a bonus from our sponsor.
Going into this season?
Definitely not going to win the championship, definitely not going to be one. I'll try to get some points, hopefully be a solid mid-team by the end of the season, but it just depends on what upgrades go on, but we'll go for a solid midfield team.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting us here, it's been fantastic.
Okay, so that's going to be the end of the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more F1 content. I'm going to try and put these out as and when I can, but that is the end of this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.
Down our running costs.